Hello everyone, my name is Anna. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to paint this sparkly blue Easter egg. You'll see a couple of other eggs in the video at the beginning and at the end, but we're just going to focus on this one for this video. Please let me know if you're interested in seeing how I painted the other eggs, and I'd be happy to create another video or two. First step is to paint a white egg on the rock. And doing this for a few reasons. It gives us something to color in. It also smooths the surface of the rock if it's a little bit bumpy like this one. And it'll make the colors that we fill it in brighter, more colorful. And I like to start by painting a smaller egg shape and then building up the edges until it's filling in most of the rock. Okay, so I'm going to show you step by step how to turn this white egg into this shiny, glittery blue Easter egg. It might look a little bit complicated, but just follow along each step and you'll see it all come together. For the colors, I stuck with the blue range. You don't have to do blue really, you can do any color combination. Just have a dark and a light shade and something in between. And because yellow is opposite on the color wheel from blue, well, yellow and orange, it's a complementary, contrasting color. I added a little bit of that to add a little more interest, breaks it up a little bit more. For the sparkle, I used this Glitterific by Folk Art. It's almost like a glitter glue. Any glitter that you have will add that little bit of sparkle. I really like this one though, it has a very holographic sparkle to it. So the next step is to use sponges, and we're going to color in the entire egg with the lightest color. Once you have the white egg coated with the lighter color, then move on to the middle tone color that you're using and dab it around. You don't want to cover the whole thing again, you want to leave some of the lighter colors showing through. And once you have enough of this on to your liking, then move on to the darkest color. And I just keep sort of dabbing it around. I don't want to leave it looking like a sponge mark, and just kind of keep playing around till you get a color that you like. And then for the yellow, I just dabbed it in a few little spots, like little speckles on the egg. Once you're happy with the color combo and you've let the paint dry completely, then you want to add in the glitter. And if you're using a loose glitter, then maybe add it on while the paint is still wet. Otherwise, let it dry and then add in this glitter. I really like this Glitterific by Folk Art. As you can see, it's very shiny and almost like a hologram. The next step is adding in the border. I'm using a gold metallic fabric paint. It's kind of like a puffy paint. I like it because it comes in a bottle with a fine tip. It makes it very easy for drawing in these lines. And what I'm doing is I'm just following along just on the outside of where I colored it in. And this will, it'll hide any little bits of paint that got on the outside of the egg. And then you're just going to let this dry before we move on to the next step. Okay, so now we're ready to start decorating this egg. And I'm using the metallic gold fabric paint again. And I'm starting with adding in some dividing lines. I like to do larger sections, working my way down to more narrow towards the bottom. And then I'll repeat this on the other end as well. So now we have the egg divided into sections, and for the tiniest sections I just use little dots to decorate those. Now I'm switching over to a fine tip brush, and I'm using the same gold fabric paint to paint in the design in these middle-sized sections. You can do any pattern that you like. What I like to do is a crisscross pattern and a semicircle, and just keep watching, you'll see how I do those. And once I'm finished with this end, I just flip it over and repeat the same on the other end. So now it's time to add the lotus flower pattern to the midsection, and I recommend letting the rest of it dry first before you start this. I didn't do that, but it does make it a lot easier, less awkward to paint. So I'm starting with a couple of semicircles, and then from there I'm adding in 5 rays, and it looks like kind of like a little sun to start. And then I'm adding in the petals, the first row of petals on the end of each one of those rays. And then once you're finished adding in the petals on each of these rays, you're adding a second row of petals a little farther out and in between each of the original ones. Some of the petals and lines on these are a little bit wonky. I like them to look imperfect though, so I'm not changing it, but if you're getting that and it's bothering you, just grab the fine tip brush and run it along the line of paint and that will smooth it out. Once the petals are all done, I'm adding in these rays. They're just a disconnected line, not actually touching the tip of the petal, and drawing out just whatever length would be needed to fill in most of that space. Then I'm adding in some dots, and I'm starting down in the semicircle, adding 3 or 4 dots, whatever's going to fit in the space, from the semicircle to the bottom of the petal. And then another row of dots on the outside. I'm starting with about midway of the petals out to the outer edge, and I like to make the first dot a little bit bigger and work my way smaller towards the outer edge. So now all of the gold is done, and we're moving on to the white detail in the decorating. Again, it is best to let this dry before you move on to this step. I didn't, but definitely recommend it, because if you don't, you risk getting the gold mixed in with the white, and that could muddy it up and kind of wreck your design. This part is a little bit hard to explain. I'm just basically adding white dots and lines wherever I think the white should go. I like to start with dots in between the gold dots on the smaller sections at the very end. In the crisscross section, I add a single dot in the center of each of those squares between the lines. And in the semicircle section, I follow along the outer edge of the semicircles, creating a wavy line of dots. And then once you're finished with this end, just turn around and repeat on the other end. So we're almost done, and we're just going to finish with the white in the lotus flower section. So again, just putting white wherever I think it should go. I start with the semicircle, and I'm actually painting on the gold paint. So I start with that little tiny piece in the center, add some dots in between, and then I'm adding white on each of the rays. And I'll add white on top of each of the little dots down in this bottom section. And then I'm going to take the white and do kind of like a teardrop line in each of the petals and on each of the rays coming out from the petals. And then the final thing will be to go in between and add in dots from the outer edge inwards. So it's the other direction from the gold dots, where I start on the outer edge and move my way in, and for the most part making the first dot on the outer edge a little bit bigger, working smaller towards the center. And just watch, you'll see how it all kind of comes together. You can do anything you want, really. This is just what I've been doing, and so hopefully this will inspire you and give you some guidance on where you're going to place the white. So once you're all finished, just have a look overall and see if there's anywhere else that you want to add a little more of the white paint. I decided to add a few more dots in the center of the lotus flower, and I'm adding a dot in the center of each of the semicircles in the outer sections. And the final step coming up here is optional. What I like to do is add gold spirals around the outer edge of the rock. If you look at the one on the left, you can see the spirals going around the outer edge there. And once it has been resin, these do pop a little bit more. So totally up to you. If this is something you're interested in doing, just grab the fine tip paintbrush and a bit of the gold fabric paint, and just go around the edge doing the spirals. And I like to go alternating directions, so go clockwise and then counterclockwise. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and please hit the like and subscribe if you're interested in seeing more of my videos.